Hey everybody, it is Lori. Welcome back to our YouTube channel, You Are Soaring. Over the next so many weeks coming up, we're going to be walking through, at a high level, each of the Enneagram types. So as a refresher, there are 9. And you have one core type that each person will identify or settle with. So you'll type yourself to figure out what that core type is, which is also driven by your core motivations. And so we'll dip into those a little bit more in just a minute. And first, we're going to kick off with the Perfectionist, which also may be known as the Reformer. So I will be sharing my screen to walk through one of our documents that we share with our clients. So as you can see, the Perfectionist type 1 has core motivations of core fear, core desire, core weakness, core message, which is longing also, and core differentiator. And every core type has core motivations. So if we dig deeper into understanding the core motivations of type 1, the core fear is being bad, corrupt, evil, or wrong. So there's sort of an internal moral compass for type 1s where they just know what's right and wrong. And it's this constant on subconscious fear that they're bad, they're wrong, something's wrong, they are wrong, not good enough. They desire being good, pure, perfect, having integrity, and doing the right thing. And so to avoid the fear or that it doesn't show up or doesn't happen, they run towards a core desire of being seen as good, pure, perfect. That might mean pursuing a project, to the nth degree so that it can be perfect. And that means overworking. Just for an example of run towards the desire so your ego feels good, you're pure, you're perfect, you have integrity. The core weakness of our friends in type 1 is resentment or anger. So anger is wrong. And so they kind of push it down, and it might show up as resentment to others that don't work as hard, don't do as much, aren't, doing this, pulling their weight. And so this may show up as just resentment in the way of being upset, and turning into anger or criticism of others. And the core message, or also called the core longing, is you're already good enough and acceptable. And it's something that will bring type 1's peace, just to know their striving can cease. They are good enough. They are acceptable just the way they are. Things are good. Even how people do things around them, or friends or family, how they achieve things is good and it's acceptable. And the core differentiator is really the core, or the inner critic, that is just this voice of criticism that constantly goes. And it's really knowing how to quiet that critic. And again, come back to the core longing that you are good enough. You are acceptable the way that you are. Your striving and longing can cease when you believe that you are good enough. So when we look at the strengths of the type 1s, they're really intentional, self-disciplined, hardworking, improvement focused, excellent at taking anything from really good to great, high standards, very high morals. They drive people to do the right thing, again, because it's that moral compass that's just sitting within them, even when it's something that's really hard. And they're constantly learning, constantly seeking new information and learning and bettering themselves. These people are great leaders because they will take a team and take them from good to great, take them from where they are to where they need to go. And they're someone good to follow, honestly. These are good leaders that will take you to good places. From a weakness standpoint, they need to watch how hard they are on themselves and how critical they are with themselves. And did they do good enough? Are they good enough? That same thing that keeps coming up with that subconscious core fear. So they just need to be mindful of it and just not be as critical of themselves, but then others around them, peers, coworkers, bosses, family. Sometimes we are hardest on our family members, the people that see us every day. So I think as ones, it's just really important to focus on improving, but not overdoing that view, and just really looking at people for who they are, and it's good enough and acceptable enough, not only for you, but also for the people in your life. And it's easy to take on too much if you're a type 1 because you're striving for excellence, which will turn into being resentful because you maybe don't have the balance that you want, or you feel stressed out, you feel burnt out. And so some of this can show up as weakness where you've taken on so much, and you may even be frustrated with others for not doing their part or not doing enough. And I think that's something just to be mindful of. If type 1s work with a type 3, for example, type 3, the achiever, will work very hard to achieve, get things done, check it off. With that, they need to be very mindful that they're not cutting corners. So when a type 1 is seeing maybe a type 3 cut corners just to get something done, that's not going to go well in that relationship. So my encouragement would be to be mindful of it, both sides. But I think for the 1, just really looking at opportunities to encourage and uplift and communicate standards and get on the same page with whoever that is in your life. It could be personally or professionally, but really looking at those standards that you've set and making sure that good enough is in there and acceptable is in there so that there is peace inside. I'm going to switch down to centers of intelligence. So there are 3, which you probably are aware of. If you're not, there's the heart, the head, and the gut, or the head, heart, and gut, however you want to say that. And for our type 1 friends, they feel first through their body. So when something comes up or how they take in the world, they're going to take it in through their body. Their body will know before their heart or their mind is going to know. For me, I'm a 2. My heart and feelings know when I'm taking in the world, I'm taking in an event, I'm taking in information. My feelings, my heart will know first. But for our 1s, their body is going to know first. So they're going to move in action with their body. Common focus for this group is control, justice, and fairness. Their common desire in this group, the gut and body group, is autonomy and independence. They have issues with aggression, and we talked about repression a little bit. If you're type 1, you feel guilty, maybe ashamed that you are angry, and you shouldn't be angry because it's naughty or bad. And again, our friends in type 1 engage life through their body. They feel it first. So if we moved into the wings, so the wings are basically the characteristics or types that show up on each of your core type. So for example, for the 1, there's a 2 wing and there is a 9 wing. And so the characteristics that show up for the 2 are warm, helpful, passionate, sensitive, controlling, extroverted, maybe critical, action-oriented. And you might see 1s with these attributes that show up. You might know 1s in your life where they have the peacekeeper side show up, or they are relaxed, mild-tempered, idealistic, thinking, introverted, objective, cerebral, detached. So how the wings work is basically people will potentially have both equally along with the core type, which are the motivations that they have. They might have 1 dominant wing, and they might not really see their wings often. And again, a lot of that is determined by the situation that someone's going through, someone's walking through, something someone's experiencing, your wing will show up. For arrows, this is called the growth path or stress path, or it's called integration or disintegration. So again, it's some of the terminology under the Enneagram is you might hear different things. So for growth path, this is where you're your healthiest, you're intentional, your ego is falling to the side, you're balanced, you're living in the present moment. It will look like for 1s, the healthy 7. So the 7 is the enthusiast. And that is somebody who is optimistic, they're light, they're responsible, they are pursuing joy and fun, and they're spontaneous. So this is on the healthiest side for a 1, to really live into the moment, laughing, fun, friends, letting go of some of the need to strive for excellence and greatness and be perfect. On the flip side of that is the stress path or disintegration, which is looks like an unhealthy 4, which is the individualist. When they're stressed, they're be really critical of themselves, very inward focused, and they become depressed and potentially hopeless, resentful, maybe feeling unlovable. And so these are, again, characteristics that are going to show up when type 1s are stressed. Something triggers stress for them. The ideal place to be when you're in your personality, you're just learning about yourself, is when stressors come, how do you feel what was happening, what was the trigger, knowing those things so that you can realize it, address it, and move back to a healthier state in your personality and in your life. So you have more joy, you have more peace. But it's really the identification, intentionality to then come back out of that stressful state to a higher level of peace and joy. All right, friends, this was our type 1. Please stay tuned for type 2 in our next recording. And if you haven't, please please subscribe. We're so grateful for you, and we hope that you have enjoyed the time with us today. And we'll see you soon. Take care, everybody.